What if the Jesus you've built your faith on was said to be a myth? How would you defend your belief? John's first letter opens with that kind of challenge, a world already beginning to doubt whether Jesus truly came in the flesh. When John wrote his letter, false teachers were spreading dangerous ideas. They claimed Jesus wasn't really human, that he only appeared to have a body. But John, one of the last living apostles, would have none of it. His readers needed assurance that their faith rested on solid truth, not clever philosophy. So before reminding them of Christian basics, John begins with one crucial task, that is, to reaffirm the credibility of the message, the gospel of Christ. In verses 1 through 3, John piles up sensory verbs: heard, seen, looked upon, touched. He repeats this 3 times to drive home a point. Namely, the gospel wasn't based on rumor or vision, but on eyewitness testimony. And he doesn't say I have seen, but we have seen. That plural we matters. It refers to the apostles, those hand-picked witnesses whom Jesus himself commissioned. They had lived with him, walked with him, eaten beside him, and after the resurrection, touched him. This wasn't imagination, it was experience. John's focus on what he saw is deliberate. He mentions hearing twice, touching once, but seeing 4 times. Why such emphasis on sight? Because false teachers, whom John calls antichrists, denied that Jesus truly came in the flesh. They taught that Jesus was spirit only, an idea drawn from early Gnostic thinking. John demolishes that lie by saying, in effect, I saw him with my own eyes. I touched him with my hands. I know he was real. The believers John wrote to had never seen Jesus themselves. Decades had passed since the resurrection. Their faith was being shaken by these new ideas. But John, as a living witness, reassures them that their belief stands on the firm foundation of first-hand truth. And the same is true for us today. Though 2,000 years have passed, our faith is not blind. It rests on the reliable witness of those who were there, men who gave their lives for the truth they saw. John's opening mirrors his gospel. In both, Jesus is called the Word. In the gospel, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. In this letter, John calls him the Word of life. Why add of life? Because John wants his readers to grasp that life itself, eternal life, is found in a person. Verse 2 explains, the life was made manifest. We proclaim to you the eternal life which was with the Father and was made manifest to us. Jesus is not merely a teacher of life, he is life. The same truth echoes in John 11:25, where Jesus says, I am the resurrection and the life. Eternal life isn't a concept or reward, it's a relationship with the living Christ. John also tells us that this life was with the Father and appeared, a clear reference to the incarnation. Jesus came forth from the Father so that through faith in him, we might share that same eternal life. Now exalted back with the Father, Jesus remains the only source of that life. To ask God for eternal life is, in essence, to ask for Jesus himself. John then moves to the purpose of his letter. In verse 3 he writes, we proclaim to you what we have seen and heard, so that you also may have fellowship with us. The Greek word koinonia means sharing or partnership. In the New Testament, it goes far beyond casual friendship. It means sharing in the same faith, the same truth, and the same life. True Christian fellowship isn't about potluck meals or social events. It's about shared belief in the real Jesus. If John's readers rejected the apostles' testimony about Christ, they couldn't have fellowship with John, nor with God himself. Genuine fellowship begins when we believe the same truth about Jesus that the apostles witnessed. But that's not the end. John says, and our fellowship is with the Father and with his Son, Jesus Christ. He's saying, if you believe what we have proclaimed, you'll not only share fellowship with us, you'll share fellowship with God himself. That's an extraordinary statement. The God who made the universe invites us into a personal relationship, not through visions or rituals, but through faith in the one the apostles saw and touched. Then in verse 4, John adds another purpose. We write this to make our joy complete. Some translations read your joy, but the meaning is intertwined. John's joy is fulfilled when others share in the same fellowship he enjoys with Christ. For more than 3 years, John had walked with Jesus, experienced his love, and witnessed his power. After the resurrection, that fellowship continued for 40 days, and even after Jesus ascended, John lived in unbroken communion with him for decades. That joy, born of fellowship with Christ, was unshakable. And John longs for his readers and for us to share that same joy. Not a fleeting happiness, but the deep, abiding joy that comes from knowing the living Word of life. So, how do we apply this? First, we anchor our faith in the apostolic witness. The gospel isn't hearsay, it's history. Second, we pursue fellowship not just with believers who agree with us, but with the Father and the Son through obedience and truth. And third, we fight falsehood by holding fast to what was from the beginning, the unchanging truth of Christ come in the flesh. John's message is as urgent today as it was then. In an age of confusion and spiritual counterfeits, we need once again to hear the voice of the eyewitness saying, "We have seen him, we have heard him, we have touched him." That testimony still stands. That fellowship is still open, and that joy can still be yours today. If this message has stirred your heart, take a moment to open 1 John for yourself. Read those first 4 verses slowly. Ask God to deepen your fellowship with Christ, the true Word of life. Then share this video with someone who needs to know that Jesus is real and that joy in Him never fades.